Matt's got me all coughed up here. Good evening and welcome to the end of 2025 episodes for SanAntonio Soccer SanAntonio Soccer Fancast. We may try to squeeze in one more for the Roundtable before the end of the year for that here. Evening, Sam. We'll introduce you first here. Jonathan, how are you? Beard's looking strong. Evidently, Man City and Newcastle are going to be facing a two-legged match in a cup. So AJ's already talking trash. And with how Newcastle's playing, I wish I could be more confident. I'm just worried about beating Burnley tomorrow. So we'll see about that. But how are you, by the way?
Doing all right. All Newcastle needs are a couple good counters. This City team is still definitely fragile, particularly on the defensive side, as we've learned really over the last year now. Thanks for compliments on the beard. It's going strong. I don't know. I've had it growing for a few months since before the end of the season, so haven't really felt the desire or the need to get rid of it. So here it is. Yep.
Matthew, hope you're feeling better. Coughing up lungs. Not listening to Dr. Rafa over here. And his witchcraft of, hey, take this times this minus this.
I did some of the things, but that one, I haven't had my luck with honey.
Well, no, we're not talking about your dating life, buddy.
That's crazy. All right. That was a good one. But yeah, lemon and honey just have not.
Sam, hey, Tottenham won. I'd forgotten how that feels. Can understand that. Rafa's best friend, Speedy Gonzalez. Hello everyone. Hello, Speedy. Rafa still abroad, hanging out with mom. Hopefully, mom's doing well.
Good. Yeah, everything's well. Feliz Navidad to everyone. Nice chilly here in Del Rio, even though it was 84 degrees yesterday here.
But what is chilly in Del Rio?
In the 40s.
Oh, you guys are in the 40s. Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's snowing actually in Midland, Odessa. I think earlier it snowed over there. But we're gonna be here. I think on Friday it's gonna be 88 degrees here in Del Rio. So a little Jekyll and Hyde weather over here.
Great for seasonal allergies.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hold on, I'm trying to add a map to this here. So tonight's going to be kind of a interesting show. Not really a lot of SAFC news, because SAFC took care of their business prior to the season. So we're going to be addressing the schedule, and then the was it Prinx Tires USL Cup, no longer the Jägermeister Cup, although I think for us fans and supporters, it will always be the Jägermeister Cup just because it has a nice ring compared to Prinx Tires USL Cup, but it is what it is.
It's also a lot easier to drink Jägermeister than to drink a tire.
So someone must open a big fat check for the naming rights.
Or a little check. They got paid something.
I think you're on mute, Harry.
Gabriel Gomez, 4454. Hey guys, hope everyone had a great Christmas, and like I said here, hopefully everybody had a great Christmas and a safe New Year's. If you have pets, please bring them in. Probably starting now, because in SanAntonio we do love fireworks, and fireworks do not just pop on the 1st for that here. But looking at the schedule here, we're going to start in March. Very home heavy against Phoenix. Tulsa's home opener for the Western Conference title winners at Tulsa on the 14th. Home against New Mexico, and a Sunday match against Lexington on the 29th. So 3 out of the first 4 at home. I think Lexington will be considered a playoff team for next year because of the off season that they're having. Basically, if you are a high-end USL championship player, you may be transferred or signing with Lexington, it seems, this year for that here. But we'll start with you, Matt. 3 out of 4, especially for supporters. Your thoughts on 3 out of 4 at home to start off with?
I mean, it's not bad. Pretty good. I mean, versus everything else we're going to be looking at in the future, but it's good to have a good amount of time with them at home.
Jonathan, Rafa, any thoughts on the matchups? I do know that Speedy Gonzalez put, man, I hate the fact that the second game is against Tulsa away, considering we have a bad repetition in Tulsa. Normally when we do Tulsa, it's late in the year and on a Sunday or a Wednesday. So the fact that it's beginning of the year, probably right around spring breakish, around that time frame, might be to San Antonio's advantage. I know Jonathan's very comfortable going up to Tulsa. He's done it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about a couple of these, Tulsa coming off being Western Conference champions, Lexington with all the new pieces they're bringing in, all the ambition that they've had building their roster this year. It's probably a good thing to catch a couple of those teams early in the season when they're still figuring things out, when, really anything can happen. Everyone really is still finding their feet. So at the same time, that makes it's the same thing for SAFC. They may still be figuring out how the pieces fit together. But it's certainly going to be interesting because you don't really know who everyone is. I mean, let's keep in mind, how did SAFC start last season? 4 straight wins, only team to do so. And then after that, it was a lot shakier. So anything can happen. It'll be interesting. As far as having 3 of those first 4 matches at home, I mean, listen, I'm not the biggest fan of cold weather matches, but I guess part of why you have them in San Antonio is so that you don't have them in places like New Mexico or Lexington,
Colorado.
Kentucky. Colorado is another one. So I guess it's better than having them there.
Sam mentions brutal opening game. I disagree. Phoenix, San Antonio is always fun, but Phoenix, like San Antonio, is not, at least at this time, an elite team in my book. Maybe you disagree, Rafa?
Yeah, I don't think they have like the key pieces like they had the last couple of years. I think for us, we do got to return back a core back, and we've had to cut some quality. We'll see. It's always it's always a tough game against Phoenix. I know last year we played them on the Sunday, and yeah, they gave us a good one there. I think that's when we I think that was the beginning of that struggle after starting off hot those first 4 games. So that should, like I said, that's going to be a tough one. And then on the road at Tulsa, hopefully we can get them on a bad night. And like I said, New Mexico, like I said, another rivalry game there, and then the Sunday game against Lexington, which it's probably going to be on CBS. If we remember last
TV, I don't know about CBS, but I think it'll
or
be
one of those.
TV
if you remember,
somewhere.
yeah, because remember last
year, Golazo, CBS Sports Golazo
could be. Because remember last year we had the game with Phoenix, and it was a Sunday, and it was on CBS or whatever.
3 o'clock.
CBS Golazo, yeah. So I guess we'll probably have a breakfast tailgate for that one.
We're gonna get to the guys might have preferred the road trip in July when it's bowling hot in town. I actually have a theory on that for that here. April, 3 game in a week kick off at Monterey Bay. Go back down the coast to Orange County. and then come home to face a team we have never beat, Miami, who seems to own San Antonio. The following week, head to El Paso.
Hold
No,
on. You mean a
we've
team
lost
they've
3 in
never
a
beat?
row. We lost
I mean,
3 in a
yeah,
row.
they've
today.
lost a few in a row, but SAFC has definitely beaten Miami before. I guarantee you.
We
But they've
Just
had our
bad
number.
form. But it's happened.
Y'all seem pretty confident on that.
This is a factual debate. SAFC has beaten Miami before.
Our
It's
number
just
at
kind
home.
of a weird at home. Maybe not. I mean, they haven't played them that many times at home.
Yeah, but they've had our
But
number for the past 3 years. I
for the
think.
last couple of years, sure. But
Well, I'm gonna look it up
it's just a weird
because I
factual
want to
thing. I
be.
guarantee you, SAFC has
So,
beaten them at least once.
so while
Yeah,
while Harry's looking that up,
we beat them at Miami, and then they came to our place and they beat us on a real crucial game. We kind of remember we gave up a couple goals towards the end, and then we lost one at their place, or we tied it with their place, but then they came back at our place and they beat us again. Yeah, we've had issues with them at our place.
They have, sure, but I don't know where this narrative of never beaten Miami is coming from.
Oh yeah, we've beaten Miami.
It's just weird.
Because I remember someone had a Golazo. I know it was Omar Epps.
Okay, we have played them 4 times. We won the first one in 2022. This is probably, remember, I'm old. So in 2022 we won 2-0. The following year, at home we lost 1-0. 2024 they beat us 2-1, and then of course this year they also beat us 2-1 in Toyota Field.
Okay,
for that
yeah.
year. So I stand corrected, Jonathan. We have
it's
one
just a recency
win,
bias, but I'm like, it happened before. I know for a fact.
And
gotta check your facts before you make these claims there.
I still contend that first one doesn't count, because the second one
in
San Antonio, they had a red card in the 10th minute. 80 minutes later, they walk out of Toyota Field with a 1-0 win. So that cancels out that first win. But no, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, Harry, whatever you say.
And then we wrap up with Birmingham in the USL Cup. So, Matt, thoughts on a 3-game and 7 days road trip to start out April? Copatejas match towards the end, and then our first USL Cup at home against Birmingham, the Fighting Keelers.
I might actually make that El Paso trip.
What? Oh, it's in Texas, so you're still allowed to do that.
Well,
you're not allowed to leave Texas.
No, hold on. You're gonna be mad at me in July, but I am gonna make that trip probably, and I don't know if Rafa wants to go because that's his birthday week. So. But yeah, that El Paso trip, his birthday.
The next day, on Sunday, the 19th.
Isn't that when Fiesta is too, around that time?
Yeah, but why not? I mean, we haven't gone. I haven't gone. Maybe this might be the year I do. But other than that, I'm kind of excited for the. Is it this one? No, it's not.
Here's my question for Jonathan, and really it's more for your parents. We know they dislike California, but going to Monterey, then Orange County, do you think they make that trip?
I don't think that's happening.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and also while we're on that topic, as far as I recall, I think that's pretty much the only obvious multi-match road trip this year that SAFC takes. In terms of having, just a few matches in the same geographic area in a few, within a few days of each other. Yeah. Just taking another quick look through, I don't think there are really any other road trips that lend themselves to that. So
your dad's already said nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's one because it's like I was looking at it. It's really the only one where you could connect trips, because you're not going to do Colorado on the in September. You're not going to do Colorado Springs, and then on the 20th go to Sacramento. You're not going to do that. The only other one that you could think about would be Vegas in October, and then at Oakland on the 10th. But even then,
that's a stretch.
Yeah, even then it's not. So just looking at the schedule, that's why to me it was just like, and I know your parents do like to go to new places, but I know that they are not fans of California. I've heard Monterey Bay is nice.
It is
to
nice.
Go to.
I've been there.
Orange County, like I said, I enjoyed the time that I went to Orange County, but it's still LA, so it's a different trip. Rafa, your thoughts on April? The three, you get the 3 and 7. I think that's the only time they really have that all season. Followed up at El Paso for the Copatejas, and then home against Birmingham.
Still a tough schedule for that one. I mean, that's where hopefully your depth in the bench comes into play, especially in that 7-game stretch. So, like I said, we have that rivalry against El Paso. Hopefully, we can get a win there, get a notch up on the Copatejas again, and like I said, we've had some success at Birmingham. Like I said in the past, so hopefully we can get a win there. So, but it's still, like I said, it's still a good challenging, not say challenging, but it's still a competitive month of April for the schedule.
One thing that we haven't added, I do think the Open Cup is, I forgot to look that up. Well, I'll let you go, Jonathan. I know I kind of cut you off, or I threw you on the lines about the parents' trip here, but any thoughts that you have outside of mom and dad taking you to California?
In April? I mean, the main thing I was going to mention was just that too much road trip at El Paso. We haven't, I don't know if we mentioned it anywhere in there, but the first of 2 Copatejas matches, both on Saturdays this year. To be fair, they were both kind of on weekends last year too, but after that was a problem for a couple years, I can understand us highlighting that, sure. Other than that, we see Birmingham at home. That's the only time we see them this year. SAFC does not play them in a regular season match, just in the Prinx Tires USL Cup. Ugh, don't like that name rolling off my tongue. So, yay, Birmingham, one time this year.
So
we did overlook one game in March, is that friendly that's on a Wednesday, and I think it's between the New Mexico game and the Lexington game.
Oh, that could be some problems.
Yeah, that's the game against the team from Germany.
Yep.
You guys act as if they couldn't just trot out the reserves and academy.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, it's probably going to be a reserve academy for that one.
When is that?
But I forgot. I think it's on the 20th. It's on a Wednesday. I believe the 25th.
So here's the other issue for SAFC. First round of Open Cup, which they are in, is March 17th and the 19th. So between Tulsa and New Mexico. And then the second round would be so if they're gonna have a match there. You said the match is between the 21st and 29th for that here. So between New Mexico and Lexington, you would have that match. The second round, if they get past the first round, and they got to get past the first round, would be March 31st through April 1st. So that really, that really compacts that schedule, especially with that international friendly. If SAFC does get the Open Cup round, and first and second round draws will be announced by U.S. Soccer in January for that here. So, along those lines.
And that might end up being like a 3-game road trip.
Yeah. And then since we're in April, if they win the first 2 rounds, the third round would be April 14th and 15th. So that would be between Miami and El Paso. And then the round of 16 would be the April 28th through the 29th for that here. So Well, on the surface, it looks like, hey, the schedule's very playable. When you add in the Open Cup matches, because the Open Cup, and I think we talked about that, it's a little bit more condensed early, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, I think the either quarterfinals or round of 16 are done before the World Cup because obviously you don't want to get massively overshadowed.
Yeah, all the way through the quarterfinals, because the quarterfinals is May 19th. Now MLS comes in round of 32, I believe. Yeah, I think they come in around the 32 for that here. Yeah, 16 teams in around the 32, which would be Austin FC, Houston, but not Dallas, right? Yeah, not Dallas for that here. So that is the interesting point when you're looking at the schedule here. Is Gabriel's like, we got to start that conditioning regime now. But wow, that international friendly, because you know they're going to start out at least with some starters. I think the second half you'd put on the reserve players along those lines. But I do think that that you'll have a heavily rotated squad for that here. Month of May, May 2nd, Colorado Springs, a road trip to Phoenix, followed up with a road trip to Knoxville for the USL Cup. Home against Sacramento, which is always a tough one. And then our first away trip to Jacksonville, who will be an expansion team in USL Championship through there. So thoughts on May with 3 on the road, 2 at home, and the 2 of the 3 on the road is against the League One team and an expansion team, which I do not believe that they've signed many players.
Only 2, I believe.
Knoxville?
They have Jacksonville. So Harvey Neville, Edgar Rito. So they've got 5 players right now under roster according to USLTactics.com. Ooh. There you
It's
go.
5 more than SAFC had before its inaugural season at this point. So,
Well, we were only announced on December 16th.
Exactly. They're already ahead of the game in that sense.
So you might be heading to Jacksonville for that here.
We might.
Is it Jacksonville, Tennessee?
Florida.
Yeah,
Dude,
Florida.
Matt, I know
you're thinking of Knoxville.
You need to go back to geography.
South San or Taft. Which school are we blaming for this one?
What's funny though is Rafa I think mentioned in there this is in El Paso. The funny thing is, where do you find El Paso if you just go west along I-10? Where do you find Jacksonville? Go east along I-10. I mean, obviously refers the directions because mirroring here, but yeah, Jacksonville not the closest, but it's pretty easy to do. Just hop on I-10 and drive for like 16 hours, I think we looked.
Is it? I don't know if it's
something like that.
Is it that long?
I think so.
Hold on, I'm going to look it up because I'm interested.
He was in LAFC 2.
Jacksonville, Florida. Directions.
Yeah, 15 hours.
15:22.
Well, my house is 15 hours and 35 minutes, 1,078 miles for that here, but I'm on the west side here.
Yeah. Your fault.
So I do find it interesting going to Knoxville. They had a very good season last year in League One. Going to Phoenix has never been it's a fun trip to go as a fan for that here. The Phoenix crowd is awesome. The stadium, I think, is underrated. However, it's been a house of horrors for SanAntonio a lot of times, at least the times that I've gone for there here. Colorado Springs, Sacramento. Sacramento's interesting because they're not the Sacramento of old. Now, I do think that they will reload. Sacramento is one of those teams. Although, Sacramento, I think, like San Antonio and Phoenix, lives off of its past history a little bit, where everybody thinks that they're a great team and they're a great organization, but when it comes to result wise, playoff wise, it's been a long
Playoff
time
wise,
since
yeah.
2014.
I mean, they've topped the West once or twice. They've had the storybook Open Cup run a couple years ago, so they still make waves, just not getting it done when it counts, mostly in the playoffs. So, which it's American sports, so that's all people really care about at the end of the day.
Matt, anything that stands out between Colorado Springs, Phoenix at Knoxville, in the USL Cup, Sacramento at home, and then at Jacksonville on a Wednesday?
Jacksonville game.
Oh, that Jacksonville game's on a Wednesday. Wow.
Just the Jacksonville game. Everything else is it's all right. I'm more intrigued about that Jacksonville game because it is going to be a bunch of pick and pull players from all the teams in USL. So I want to see how that's going to go together.
June.
But
there's Rafa. Any thoughts on May? I don't think I got to you or Jonathan.
Just I think there's some winnable games. I mean, it'd be interesting how they do against Knoxville. Hopefully, they don't take them lightly, like they did with Omaha the last time when they played.
League One team
in the U.S. Open Cup. So, always a tough one at Phoenix, but I think we've won there before. But I know it's been a while, but I think we'll see. We'll see what kind of adjustments we make. But after the first time we play them, we can hopefully get some points.
Jonathan, any thoughts on May that you didn't get to?
Yeah, seeing Knoxville and Jacksonville for the first time, that's cool. That's pretty much the highlight for me. Otherwise, business as usual, regular season games.
So June has 3 games. None in San Antonio. June 6th at Tulsa again. So we played Tulsa 3 times. This one in the USL Cup. At Lexington, so the return match. At Colorado Springs. And I don't think it's been announced publicly, but I do think the reason why the light schedule for San Antonio in June, does anybody have any guess?
World Cup base camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's good because that way I can be able to travel to Houston to go watch the games.
This is just kind of building off the World Cup thing. This is something we haven't necessarily mentioned, but the first thing I noticed when the schedule came out was, oh, hey, the USL is just playing through the World Cup, and you can maybe say they're doing a lighter schedule, but I think it is interesting after MLS decided to just take a couple months off. The USL is still trying to keep the schedule pretty much the same, just lightening it ever so slightly.
Do you want to know the reason why?
What do you think it is?
Most USL players are not playing for a World Cup team.
Yeah, that's fair, but I still think
and
if you have the choice between going to a World Cup game or a USL game, I mean, yeah, there's a price discrepancy, but USL has been here for years. It'll be here for years. World Cup is a one-time thing. It's what's going to get all the attention.
Right, but and this is part of the reason why I understand why San Antonio is not having it, but from a San Antonio aspect, I think it's a missed opportunity that they're not able to kind of, have the game and then watch part either before or after along those lines where they're able to kind of capitalize that at the stadium along those lines here, where you could have, kind of World Cup themed matchups. Now they can do that in July. I think I lost my schedule.
July 4th
we know that'll be fireworks, but with the World Cup schedule, I think that's when you start the knockout rounds for that, along those lines here. So to me, I just found it. I found it interesting that from a San Antonio aspect that they do not get to host a game during the World Cup, unlike other teams that may until the knockout round because the knockout round starts the 28th, 29th.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about
and
it,
so round of 16 would start.
Do you think there's a possibility we may host a friendly like around June 20th? Because there is a gap between 13th and the 24th, and we do with there are partnership teams. Because remember, we have a new partnership with that team from Uruguay.
I think it'll still be in July.
Well,
July, there's really no schedule on July. I don't think.
Here's why I don't think so.
It would be a Wednesday.
Because for the season ticket members, one of your bonus games is the international friendly in March. The other would most likely would be U.S. Open Cup friendly, most likely. So those are typically your two bonus games. So I don't know if they would have one. I think they have the opportunity to do so. But yeah, July. So July, depending on when that game is on July 4th, because according to the round of 16, kickoff would be at 12 and 4.
It would be an 8 o'clock game for us. Because remember,
so
after
you have an 8 o'clock. So if I was SAFC, I would try to market that as, and I know July 4th is a big barbecue day along those lines. But to me, it would be kind of be smart, especially with that 4 o'clock game. If you could possibly, depending on who that matchup is, maybe have kind of a watch party tailgate, working with the SGs, putting up one of those portable TVs under the bridge, and kind of having a big tailgate underneath there for that here. Just a suggestion for that here. I don't know how practical or how expensive that is, but I think a lot of people would turn out, and then it would drive. I bet you it would drive it sell out.
Maybe Wemby can cut us a check if France is playing that day.
We're leaving Wemby alone. But July 4th against Monterey Bay, so we know that'll be fireworks. Hopefully, no wind. The 11th versus Chattanooga, the Red Wolves, not Chattanooga FC, the real Chattanooga team. Home against Vegas. And then at Brooklyn, I know Matt's intrigued on that one. He's making friends in Brooklyn. Are you planning on going to Brooklyn, Matt?
Yeah.
Nice.
I already looked at hotels and everything. So I'm going to go to that game for sure. I kind of convinced my parents. I was like, look, we can go. You can go for your anniversary on your anniversary, or we can go on the 25th all together. Because I'm one to not want to go to New York, but I'll go to New York for the game.
Why do you want to go to New
York? No, thank you. I don't like crowds. I don't like compact crowds.
This might be a little bit old for you, Matt, but during that time frame, if I could, I'd be playing "No Sleep Till Brooklyn" for you by the Beastie Boys, but I don't want to get copyrighted.
No, my dad.
There's our new chant.
We love the Beastie Boys. No sleep till Brooklyn.
No sleep till Marbach.
No. But yeah, as soon as the schedule got released, the rep that I was chatting with from Brooklyn was like, "Hey, you said you would go. I need to know how many people are coming with you, because we're willing to help y'all out." So there you go. If anybody wants to go to Brooklyn, just let me know.
I don't know if I'll be able to go because I believe Anna has decided. Sam kick. Oh no, not
Are you allowed to say it publicly, Harry? Don't.
I can say it here, but okay. Anna has decided to take her talents, I think, to Portland State. So probably around that time frame, we'll be getting her organized in the great state of Oregon. For that, if that's what her final decision is.
Viking helmet.
Yes. Up there with the Fighting Stewarts. And I think Jason's up there, right?
Yep.
Oh, buddy. Miss you, Jason. August. Indy at Lou City, home against El Paso. So we don't play El Paso 3 times, unlike I thought. Oakland, and then we wrap up at New Mexico United. Not an easy August, jam-packed, although no double weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you say jam-packed, but it's just that, you start on a Saturday, August 1st. And so, yeah, by virtue of having, 31 days in that month, you can have them every weekend, and it may look a little busier, but it's just that. Indy and Louisville, two teams that SAFC did not have in its schedule this past season. So cool to see them again, I guess. Follow that with El Paso. It'll be nice to finish up Copatejas in August, I suppose. It felt a little weird having to wait so long for even just the first Copatejas game last year, and then the second game in the season finale. It just, I don't know, kind of weird to me. So nice to get it out of the way. Can't wait until we've got more teams to where we can highlight more than just the 2 matches this season. Who knows how Oakland is? Who knows how New Mexico is going to be this year?
Thoughts, Rafa?
I think the tough one's going to be the one at Louisville. If we can find a way, get some points in New Mexico, which is on Labor Day weekend. So maybe a little road trip for that one, like we did the last time. Maybe Matt will come along.
We'll just tie Matt to the top of the van and go.
Yeah. So that, like I said, I think winnable games against Oakland. Indy's going to be a little tricky game, but you're in the middle of August, so it's going to be hot for them. So maybe we can squeeze out a win there. Like I said, this is where we'll find out more if this team's ready. This is the month where you make your start making your push towards the playoffs. You start kind of distancing yourself from the other teams and so forth.
Any thoughts, Matt, before we move on to September?
That's crazy. There's 5 games in August. That's all I see. But that would be the time to start going uphill and start making yourself known. So I would agree with Rafa on that. August would be the month to, hey, put the pedal. Let's get you going.
Mama Check said she's looking forward to the season with a good amount of returning players. That is 100% true for that here. Moving on to September. Tulsa on September 5th. At Colorado Springs. At Sacramento 9 days later. So a Friday at Colorado's, and then a Sunday at Sacramento. And then home against the Rowdies in a revamped Rowdies. I know Lexington's getting a lot of love, but Tampa is also doing a lot of business as well. So 2-2 for home against Tulsa, at Colorado Springs, at Sacramento, which is always tough to play, and then Tampa. The only thing that sucks about Sacramento, because usually that's a 9:00 kickoff, and with it being on Sunday and with Monday being a workday below it, you got something against that, Jonathan?
I mean, I feel like even once fall starts, Sacramento is still doing really late games, so it could even be 10 p.m. kickoff.
Yeah, possibly.
Even worse.
Good evening, Jason. We were just talking about you. Thoughts, Rafa, on Tulsa, Springs, Sacramento, and the Rowdies?
Tough month. I mean, you're playing 3 quality playoff caliber teams back to back to back, and it's going to be very important, especially on the road, to steal points. We can't have what we had a lot this past season. This kind of falter towards, kind of lip into the playoffs. Like I said, stealing points at Colorado, Sacramento. Like I said, Sacramento might not be as strong as they were in the past, but like I said, we can take some there. And then the big one with the Tampa, like I said, I think that one we need to definitely get a win on that one. Kind of build some, like I said, get that confidence up going into the last month.
And then October, the Royce Las Vegas trip, because he always tends to make that trip at Oakland. So we went from opening up Oakland Stadium to that'll be our last road trip in the following year. I don't expect we'll see 25,000 at the Oakland Alameda Coliseum. Finish up with our third game against New Mexico, and then for whatever reason we always play Orange County late, and that is our last match in October on the 24th. So Vegas and Oakland historically not playoff caliber teams, so to be able to walk in to there. Jason, I think if it's a road trip to Oakland or Vegas, I think most people will choose Vegas. Hate saying that, but Oakland's nice. I've been to Oakland. It is an underrated city, especially with San Francisco across the bay. Further here. So we'll go with you, Matt. Any thoughts on the final month?
It always seems like we play these 4 teams towards the end, so and it's usually lately been make or break if they're good through the season or not. So we just gotta wait and see what happens towards playing them in between. But yeah, usually make or break on those 4 teams, just depending how they play.
Jonathan, and here's a question for you. I don't know if you know this. You're kind of our stats guru. Has the team ever finished the season on the road? I want to say early 2016, 17, 18. I think that is when they finished a lot of the seasons on the road against like Tulsa, St. Louis, along those lines. I know recently they haven't been finishing on the road, at least in my knowledge, but obviously my knowledge is not very well because I didn't remember that we beat Miami 1 time out of 4, but you guys are all over me on that.
I mean, you said the one win that SAFC had didn't count, so I'm just taking a quick look year by year, mostly ending on the road or ending at home in the regular season. Yes, but you are right in the sense that I know they did it earlier in the season. Okay, so last time SAFC would have ended on the road in the regular season, take it with a grain of salt, was 2020 against the Austin Bold. So obviously not the season or the schedule that was initially put out anyway. So prior
Which
to
we
that,
were at that game.
2018, let's see. 2017, I don't think so. No. So 20, okay, I need this notification out of the way. 2016, I think might actually. So 2016 and 2020 are the only times SAFC has ended the season on the road.
Wow, that is kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah.
Wow. I know it's been a while. So that is the SAFC season's schedule. We don't have the release times. Typically, I think the matches prior to May 23rd will be 7:30 kicks. Matches from July till probably September, or probably till September 5th will be 8 o'clock kicks. And then I think September 26th, you'll go back to 7:30 for the final 3 matches along those lines here. Probably as we get closer to the season, probably I think it's February-ish is when they'll probably release the theme nights along those lines here. Too. Yeah, preseasons for that here. So I'm sure the cell staff is working hard on creating the theme nights for that here. I heard there were 1 or 2 matches at one.
I was wrong, Jason. I was wrong because
I think the Sunday game is going to be an afternoon game.
The Sunday, March 29th game at Lexington is probably the best bet for a afternoon.
I think we're going to have a 3 p.m. game for that one.
Because I posted in our group chats for the SGs that there were 2 1:00 games, but then I looked at all of the FOT mob stuff. Everything was 1:00. So I messed up on that. That was my fault.
But I do think that one has the potential of being, especially with Lexington loading up. I don't think the Sacramento Sunday match would be. I think if it's a Friday game, possibly you get a little bit more TV time with that, and then possibly a Wednesday, you might see some time for that here. Moving on to the Prinx Tires USL Cup for that here. Group 1, Spokane, Athletic Club Boise, Sac Republic, Oakland Roots, Monterey Bay, Vegas. So the western side of the country, outside of the LA teams. Any thoughts on Group 1? I'm interested to see Boise and Spokane. Boise will be an expansion team. Their stadium's supposed to be kind of nice. Spokane finally gets a travel partner after a couple of years in League One, being on the island, kind of like the OC Blues was for the historically USL. It was just USL at the time, right? It wasn't Championship or League One. It was just USL when they first started, and OC was really the only team on the West Coast for that here. But any thoughts on Group 1? Any matches that you would like to see?
It's pretty much it's going to be the Sacramento Invitational there. Oh, on paper.
Yeah, on paper. Jonathan, any thoughts?
Not really. I mean, the way USL Cup is structured, it's kind of insular. We don't have to care much about the other groups, if I'm being perfectly honest.
You don't. But we are a show that covers and through here. Group 2, a little bit closer to our neighbors, AV Alta, League 1, Colorado Springs, El Paso, New Mexico, Orange County, and Phoenix. So a lot of USL championships, and then AV Alta. New Mexico gets all of its friends. So does Orange County with Phoenix with Rising in New Mexico and Orange County. So this one will probably be pretty competitive for there here. A lot of rivalries. I know New Mexico, Colorado Springs is starting to develop into more of a rivalry. Phoenix, New Mexico is. Phoenix, Orange County, obviously New Mexico and El Paso is. So kind of the odd team out will be the AV Alta, the League One team that's thrown in with 5 quality group league championship squads. Any thoughts from anybody?
Probably the group of death. I would think that'd be one of the group of deaths.
Group 3 is our group. It's the Southeast and the Southwest here, I guess. Tulsa, SanAntonio, Corpus, who we don't play, amazingly, and we talked about that the last time. Birmingham, Chattanooga, and Knoxville. So the 3 Southeast teams for they here, kind of like what MLS is thinking about doing with Houston, Dallas, and Austin, and putting them with the SoCal teams, San Diego, and the 2 LA teams. This kind of has a very similar setup. Jonathan, since it's our division, I'm assuming you have some thoughts on it. Your thoughts on Group 3?
I mean, I will say it would have been nice to play Corpus, obviously, particularly after seeing so many of the intra-Texas matchups disappear a couple years ago with the Bold and then RGV disappearing. The more we could get some of those short road trips, the better. Couple teams in here that could be competitive. Obviously, you would think SAFC should be able to put up a good fight. You know, they won their group last season with what Tulsa proved they could do and the consistency they showed in the regular season last year. You would think they're competitive. And like we mentioned, Knoxville, even as a League One team, had a great year last year. We'll be looking to, on paper at least, punch a division above their weight and prove that they belong and that they can compete.
And you'd think the Legion will be better this year because they were worse than tied with either tied or finished below Miami last year. In the East, they have the old Sacramento coach that'll be there for a full off season. So I think the Legion will be hopefully better, but we will see. Group 4, Detroit City. Maxi Rodriguez went home. If you hadn't back to Detroit here, if you hadn't noticed. Fort Wayne, Ford, Madison, Indy, Lexington, Lou City, and then Union Omaha. So Union Omaha kind of a little bit on the outskirt, but 3 League One teams with the Fort Wayne FC, 4 USL championship teams. Lexington, Louisville. Lexington's in the West. I still don't understand how they're in the West and not Birmingham or Louisville City because they are further east than those two. But they're not. So, any thoughts on this group of 7 for Group 4?
It's another group of death. Like I said, you got some quality teams there.
Yeah.
Now with
Fort
Lexington
and Union Omaha are solid, yeah.
And then Detroit, it's a tough place to play at Detroit.
Group 5, the Northeast, Brooklyn, Hartford, the Cosmos make a return. Although they're in New Jersey, even though they say they're New York, so that's the New York way. Portland Heart of Pine, Rhode Island, and Westchester SC. So from a fan perspective, this would be an awesome group to go to because I think you could travel between the 6 teams pretty easy for it. Now, typically these are some of these are midweek games, but your thoughts on this grouping, anybody?
Should be no problem for battle between Hartford and Rhode Island, especially what Hartford did last year. I mean, since they did win the.
Portland did very well. I'll just leave it at that. They were. Who's the former Ollie
Wright
is up in Portland, and he had a couple of bangers for them last year. The Group 6, Pittsburgh, Loudoun, Richmond, Charlotte Independence, Greenville Tramp, and Charleston. This one, if you're old school on USL, Richmond and Charlotte used to be used to be in the first division, and I want to say the Richmond and Pittsburgh had rivalry back in the day, if memory serves me correct here. But this one pretty interesting. Charleston's is one of those sneaky kind of being rebuilt this year. They have lost a lot of talent. We'll see if they kind of come in. Greenville historically has been a solid team. Richmond and Charlotte, both teams kind of underperform in my opinion. And you have the USL champs, Pittsburgh Riverhounds in Group 6, and then Loudoun, who's improving, but kind of Vegas East is probably the best way to call them. They've made some improvements, but it still has room to grow.
Looks like the ACC there.
Pretty much. And then the Group 7, Miami, Naples, Sarasota, Sporting Jacks, the Rowdies, and then you got South Georgia, Tormenta, which is not that high up. It's more down here. I don't know if there's a freeway that goes on the west coast of Florida, but Rowdies, Sarasota, Naples, Miami, that's nice. And then you got Jacksonville up in the upper corner for that here. So this would be the Florida division, in my opinion. I'm interested to see what Sarasota and Naples do. Sporting Jack will be interesting. And South Georgia Tormenta historically has done well in cups like this. They're one of those sneaky League One teams that you have to pay attention to along those lines. So how this works here, the 7 division winners advance, and then there's one wild card, and that's why for SanAntonio FC, they need to really work on building up their goal difference, because that's what the or that's I think it's what goal difference or goal scored. I forget. I know scoring goals matters in this.
I think goal differential comes first, and then the goal scored.
So wins are important. Don't get me wrong, but if you're a second place winner, if your goal differential is up there, then
are they still doing the PKs?
Yes,
they're still tied. Okay.
Yep. But that's where that goal difference comes in, because if you're doing PKs, it doesn't really help you along those lines. And that was the problem with SanAntonio. That well, they ended up winning their group by not winning the last game, but they could have been out if they lost because of the goal difference. It's straight to PKs.
Yeah, and also, are we saying the first tiebreaker is goal difference? Is that, I was looking up what it is. So were we saying it was goal difference? Because actually,
it's head to head first,
points,
right?
Well, it's points followed by the first tiebreaker of most goals scored.
So that's what. So it was most goals scored. Yes.
So why I thought you guys were saying it was goal difference.
Well, I thought normally that is. I thought it was either
it
or.
Should be.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, I mean, the USL, even in the regular season, has had some weird tiebreakers for a few years. And then the USL Cup, they're like, what if we make it even weirder?
Well, I understand why they do it, because they want goals scored, along those lines here, which goes against what SanAntonio FC does along those lines here. But yeah, goals scored, or at least last year was a struggle for them to score goals. The only other thing, we're 2 days away from the collective bargaining agreement expiring. For me personally, I don't think it really matters a whole lot until you get closer to February. Now, I don't know if on a player's aspect, if that changes things just because of the contracts, but for that here. But I think between now and probably 1st of February, when camps start to break, end of January, I think this is when the time pressure gets built. I was listening to Carter Kirschneider that 90% is done, but it's always that extra 10%. And one of the sticking points that they mentioned, and if you listen to Carter Kirschner, and it's beyond the 90, he brings up a good point for the organization, for them to give health care, that it includes everybody in the organization along those lines here. So that's where kind of the sticking point, because when they look at the pool of players, obviously if it's just the soccer players, they tend to be pretty healthy along those lines. But then if you've got me that works in the ticket office or along those lines, that may not be the most healthiest, that can affect the insurance rates along those lines of, how he kind of explained it to me. I know Jeff Carlisle mentioned that because this is also being worked on for the new Division 1 league that is set to start in 2028. According to Jeff Carlisle, that'll have a minimum of 55,000 minimum salary, not counting medical or housing along those lines here. For that here in 2028, 60,000 2029, 65 in 2030, and 70,000 in 2031. They mentioned that currently offers in right now that the current offering of minimum salaries is under 40,000, but there are a few exceptions to that here. So Now, they did mention that most USL Championship teams do not pay the minimum for players, but that is something that to keep in mind on for here, because I think the roster is what, close to 20. I think is what we decided, right, Jonathan?
Something like that, yeah.
So I don't know roster wise, outside of maybe a couple of big names, but I don't think you're going to see the normal January movement because they've already got quite a few on the roster. And I do know that they probably want to leave some open slots for the players that don't get drafted or get drafted in the second round for the MLS draft, and possibly loan players because you figure they run what, 22 to 25 typically for a season as far as a roster. So there's not a lot of left room on the roster side outside of the 5 academy contracts that they're able to do for that here. So I think for SAFC, outside of probably what, 2 or 3 big names that they could possibly still get, I think the core of the roster that we have is already here. Final thoughts?
We'll see what January has in store for, as far as maybe filling up a couple other needs that we have, especially on the defense. Well, some wingers. I think that's where we need some speed on the outside. We saw that, like I mentioned, that you also Tactics mentioned about that list of available free agents, and hopefully maybe there's some on the radar for SAFC that are going to fill the needs and so forth. And hopefully we'll get preseason schedules too. We'll see, because I think that's coming up. I think they start playing in February. They'll have a few games in February. I'm sure there's some closed door ones, but like I said, usually have that one towards the end, right before the season starts, so the STMs can go to.
Matt?
So I was debating to talk about this. I feel like I need to, because the rage baiting that's been going on ever since that infamous drumming by the Spurs. we gotta just drop it. Nobody owns chant rights to any of these chants. Nobody owns. We gotta drop that. A lot of people kept telling me, like, "Hey man, go for it."
I'm going to push back on you. It's not about the chant. It's
What's it about?
not even about the Jackals doing it. To me, it's the lack of respect that SAFC and SSNE has towards towards the supporters groups, former and current, because SAFC supporters groups have been asking to do stuff like this before, and
this is true.
That's my issue with it. I have no problem with the Jackals. I have no problem with them doing it. Like I said here, I think it's a great thing. It's unique. My issue is some of these ideas that have come through, and I know you can't say anything because you are part of the SG, admin, and you do work very closely with them. I don't. I've spoke with past members of SGs through here. They've tried working with the front offices from both Spurs Sports and Entertainment and SAFC, and I'll just say at best they've had mixed results, where it seems like, and I know it's the first year and I know they're trying to get it to grow, it seems like that the Jackals have reaped the benefits of the suggestions, the ideas that we have, and by we I'm talking about SAFC fans and SAFC supporters, have been trying to get Spurs Sports and Entertainment behind. So that's my issue with it. You don't have to agree with it, disagree with it. That's why when I saw it, I went, oh shit, and I actually said something else, but we'll leave it at oh shit, because I thought it was. I knew immediately, and I know the work that you do. I know the work that Rafa does. I know the work that Lee, did with Mission City, and going back
James.
to Al, James. to me, Stewart, you know, to me it was kind of disrespectful in a way towards those guys because they have been trying to get that SAFC on board to do stuff like that. And all credit to the Jackals. This is not personal to the Jackals. It's more about how SAFC treats the San Antonio supporters groups. And you may have a different view because you deal with them
No, I
directly.
agree with it. I'll come out and say it. I agree with you. It's also now like it's not about us versus them anymore. Because I've seen and I've told Rafa, me and Rafa have plenty of damn talks about it, especially in our group chat. But it's one of those where I do want to come out and say we don't own any of our chants. Everything's recycled.
Right.
I will put that out there. But also to the fact that, hey, they did what they did. I have no control. I have no say so in what goes on that side. But in the end, just let them be. Let them ride their first year. Whatever happens, happens. All I know is, and I will admit, if they came to an SCFC game, will we play friendly? I have no clue. I know there's going to be a lot of icks going around, and I can admit that.
I don't know.
But
I hope not.
But yeah, just from me speaking from the SGs of SAFC, just leave them alone already. It's not worth it. It's like I've told many people who've talked to me. They got a lot of cancel culture people on that area, and I am attacking that because it is true. It's not worth the fight. Just let them be. Let them have their victories. Let them celebrate. Let them do what they want. That's basketball. We're soccer. Yeah. We stick to our guns. We do what we do. And that's the best I could just put it at.
And I will say this: if the Jackals do succeed, it's possible that SAFC and more importantly Spur Sports Entertainment sees the value of it, and then it could reach down.
But that value should have already been appreciated since 2016. That's the thing there. If you're going to take a long time to. Well, if you're going to take a long time to actually take the time to really help your groups grow and stuff, you need to value it. And I don't think I think they've taken it more for granted than value.
Well,
and I think we're also with the thing with the Jackals and all that. I know they're trying to do what they do in Europe. Like I said, SGs are all, like I said, with Europe, South America. Like I said, we do our soccer thing and so forth. Some of our stuff, like I said, it is what it is. But I think SSNE needs to kind of realize, hey, if you're going to appreciate and put the effort on them, you have to do the same for your other group, because the SAFC fan base is just as important as the Spurs fan base. Like I said, they're part of that family.
I don't think SSNE would see it that way, though.
Yeah, yeah, they don't see it that way, but
and if you want me to be cynical, you know why the SAFC fan base is not as important as the Spurs fan base? Which one do you get more money from? Again, SSNE is a business. At the end of the day, they won't want to say it publicly, but at the end of the day, money talks.
Yeah, not wrong.
It really does.
Also,
the funny thing is,
good.
And the funny thing is, you got to remember, they have all rights to the Jackals. They don't have all rights to us. And yes, I'll agree with some of the things that they tell us not to do. But other than that, we're the ones who are not owned by SSNE. We're not controlled. That's the one thing that they do need to know.
This is another thought. The Rand Crocketeers also trying to replace the Void. That has also been an underlying feeling within the San Antonio FC supporters group for multiple years along those lines here, where there's that feeling that if SAFC could go back and redo things, they would create their own supporters group and not have the independent supporters group for that here. Jonathan?
And then SAFC would be perhaps the laughing stock of the league, because you'd have all these other independent supporters groups, and then they'd look at SanAntonio and say, oh, y'all's is team sanctioned. Oh, well, that's nice. I mean, it would maybe get you more support, but also it would be inauthentic, inorganic. I will also say, this whole SAFC supporters versus Jackals debate, let's not forget the reason the Jackals kind of, as I understand it, came to be is because Victor Wembanyama said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had like these European soccer style supporters at a Spurs game? So basically
in basketball over in Europe, from my understanding, that's where it also comes from there. So they have
But most of those European basketball teams are owned by the soccer teams.
Yes.
If you look like Barcelona, Real Madrid, and a couple of the other, they're basically sports organizations. They have handball too and stuff. So,
but here's my thought on it too. If you look at it now, ever since that kicked off, NBA Euro kicked off. Mm-hmm. And NBA Euro wasn't brought up until after the fact, if you really think about it. So I think that was just a big stepping stone, and they're running on that stepping stone. But at the same time, it's still to the point where, for me, being one of the leaders, and I tell some of these guys all the time as well, it's best just to leave it alone already. It's not worth it anymore. I just don't see a point where I need to keep thinking, well, man, what do I got to do? Feeling like I'm losing my hope for what we do here in for SAFC versus what the Jackals are doing. I don't need those two to combine with each other. I need them to be separated. So that's why I'm saying it's just best to leave them alone already, and just let it be. Let it die on its own, or let it survive on its own. At this point, I want to feel comfortable not having in the back of my head, dang, we go down, these guys are going to come into place. You get what I'm saying?
So, Jonathan, your final thoughts since Matt decided to kick the hornet's nest on his?
I mean, I will just kind of finish the thought that I was getting at. The whole idea was, okay, let's kind of replicate what they're doing over in Europe. But the post, you had Victor Wembanyama pushing for that. So I'm sorry, SAFC is not going to get someone with the kind of clout that, Victor Wembanyama. They're not going to have the Victor Wembanyama of soccer. I don't know if that's, Messi, Ronaldo, Kylian Mbappe, whoever. You're just not going to have that kind of force pushing
Phoenix had Drogba. It is possible.
I still don't think Drogba is
argument. Wemby. He didn't even know about SAFC till a month before his tryouts, and that was a fact. Heard from Apple.
But anyway, like I'm not even, the angle I'm looking at this from is not even necessarily comparing the Jackals to this, but saying, okay, well, if they can do that for the Spurs, then let's see if we can re-elevate the status of the supporters groups for SAFC, because it would almost be one thing if the supporters groups for SAFC had already, had always kind of been here and there, and, kind of being maybe not necessarily appreciated. But I think we can all acknowledge there was a time when you had some strong supporters groups, and it's gradually kind of declined, their status in the SAFC community. So it's more kind of a question of re-elevating that to me, not necessarily trying to compare and take the Jackals down at all, is what I will say. Mm-hmm. Anyway, as far as final thoughts, we've talked a little bit about where else does SAFC need to fill out the roster. I kind of question whether you even see any signings until the CBA is finalized, because I don't even know if you could legally sign players
if
there's not an active CBA. So that's the first stepping stone that we need to reach. And I think it would be almost funny if, okay, we've agreed a new CBA, and then over the next day or two, you see a couple signings that maybe got bunched up. I don't even know if, for all we know, maybe there have been some agreements that have happened that SAFC just never got around to announcing, and then you can't announce them during a lockout. So we'll see how this all changes. I mean, this is the first time I can recall, not even the USL, but just soccer in general having a lockout like this, from what I'm remembering. So it's
MLS
an
has had
interesting.
a few of them back
Have
back
they?
in the day,
Okay.
but
Yeah. I mean, can't remember them
I
having
will
one
say
recently.
this: there is zero chance that a deal is not reached because the World Cup is be playing this year. There is no way that USL Players Association, and US Soccer will let this drag on. I fully expect. Will there be a lockout? Possibly, yes. Because most leagues, it's off season. If there's a lockout outside of player contract issues and along those lines here, doesn't really have effect. It's more internal, putting the pressure on each side. I just cannot see from a league perspective and from a players union perspective in a year of 2026 where there's a World Cup in the United States that you're going to have a league that's not playing. I just cannot see that happen. So whether you agree with me or not, that is my thoughts. My final thought, and then I'll kick it to Rafa to talk about if we're doing a show later on this week for the high schools. I know high schools kick off. Be careful with the holidays, drinking and driving. Like I said here, it happens quite a bit on the first. Don't be the person that makes a mistake and that unfortunately does something wrong that you cannot take back. Or it's a very expensive ticket along those lines for that here. So please also for fireworks, please bring your pets inside with that here, especially for fireworks with dogs. It's hard. And then, be safe if you got children with fireworks. Watch what you're doing. There's nothing worse. What was it? Pierre John Paul of the Giants that blew off his hand or blew off fingers of his hand. I guess his hand didn't blow off, but just be careful if you are going to be shooting fireworks. Bring the animals in. Be kind to each other and be smart. Rafa, your final thoughts as we head to the high school season?
So final thoughts. Well, tomorrow I think I am going to be on 50/50 podcast. So I am unveiling my state RPIs. Maybe I'll be filming them here down in my neighborhood. We'll see. But I think that'll be in the evening. I think because I think Coach Khan, I think he's being all Hollywood. I think he's going to do a little hype video for tomorrow. I think they played tonight. I think they played Churchill tonight. So good luck to them. Hopefully they did well.
Churchill.
And and then yeah, the season started. Like I said, started today. We had some games today. We have some games tomorrow. I know AJ plays. I think about Friday on January 1st.
Yeah, January 1st, or Thursday.
There, so Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah. So,
yeah, Thursday.
Thursday. So there's a kickoff for that, and hopefully we'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll do a Thursday evening show, for the RPIs for the San Antonio area. So I already have those. I already shared those with Harry. So we can go over that, and then the start of the season. I'm looking forward to some of the games. I'll hopefully be able to get back in town so I can watch a couple of them, and then it should be another fun, exciting season.
So I will say this: this weekend at some point, Matt knows these guys, but if you follow USOA 1836, the sociology guys. I finished last in the fantasy football league. So unfortunately, finishing last comes with some sort of punishment, which I believe Chris Leha of MCS fame and Elias, I believe I'm going to be eating some wings somewhere. And they will not be mild wings, is my understanding. So If I get information, I'll try to pass it on. If anybody wants to see,
Is it going to be live?
I don't know. I'm sure we
No.
could.
Oh.
Sure we could. I got the system to do it.
And then correction, inside Texas Husker. Sorry about that, Coach Connell.
Wow. Man. It's probably he probably lost to Churchill, so that's why he's got to take it out on you. For that year. So, but that'll be something that I don't think Chris has got back to me saying where that's going to be. I know it'll be about 3-4 o'clock for that here. So along those lines. So that's going to be it for us. We may have a show Wednesday, Thursday for that here. Thank you from Royce, Jonathan, Matt, Rafa, and me. Hope everybody has a great new year. And what's life without goals? We are out of here.